Hey everyone, I'm Rather Incoherent, and this is the Miskatonic Museum, the third scenario of the return to Dunwich Legacy. Before we start talking about the agendas, the acts, and the locations, let's talk about what I've done with our decks for Jacqueline and Marie. With Marie's deck, I upgraded her shrivelings immediately just like I did with Jacqueline. There have been so many 3 health enemies in the scenarios that I really just wanted to upgrade shriveling as fast as I could to make sure I can deal with them without committing too many actions. It seems like the most meaningful change I can make. After shrivelings, I got my second ward of protection because of course I did. And then I had 2 more experience, and I was looking at my deck for a while, and I came to the conclusion that I really just wanted to more consistently draw through it. So I upgraded my emergency cache before I started doing anything else with my other spells. Which is a similar choice to what I did in Jacqueline Fine. In Jacqueline Fine, I got her ward of protection, but I also upgraded both emergency caches. And the reason I did is because, realistically, I'm not struggling with anything other than feeling a little bit sketchy about enemies, so I just want to draw towards my upgraded shrivelings as fast as possible. With the rest of my experience on Jacqueline, though, I upgraded a Rite of Seeking to level 4, and the reason I chose to do this is because I've pretty much exclusively upgraded damage abilities so far. Upgrading a Rite of Seeking to max level is something to help with clues, which I've been largely ignoring. I want to get recharge relatively soon on Jacqueline, but the issue with that is the card I cut for it is Delve Too Deep, and I think I want to go one more scenario before I do that. So for now, I'm taking this upgrade and banking some experience instead of upgrading my Delve Too Deeps. Now that we've talked about our deck upgrades, we can start talking about the game itself. The first agenda of Miskatonic Museum is restricted access. Dr. Armitage has given the university's Latin translation of the Necronomicon to his associate, Harold Walstead, the curator of the Miskatonic University Museum. Worried that someone might still be after the book, you have gone to the museum to recover it. This agenda has the forced effect: when Hunting Horror enters play, attach the set-aside copy of Shadowspawn to it, or add 1 resource to Shadowspawn if it is already attached. It's got a 5 doom threshold to progress the agenda. Let's take a brief moment to talk about the Hunting Horror. He starts off in the event deck. You can draw him randomly. The Hunting Horror is initially small. He's a 2/3/2 Hunter Retaliate, only hits for 1/1. The forced effect gives you a chance of readying him at the start of the enemy phase, which is a little bit spooky. He has the forced effect that instead of dying and getting discarded or going to the victory display, he enters the Void. The Void is just an out-of-play area that he lives in. However, there's this card that's going to attach to him fairly soon. Shadowspawn remains attached to the Hunting Horror if it enters the Void, so it's not going to get discarded like other attachments would. It gives the Hunting Horror +1 fight, health, and evade for each resource on it. And if there are at least 3 resources on it, it's also going to give it massive. So the first time we summon the Hunting Horror, it's going to get Shadowspawned, and then it's going to get bigger every time we summon it, which you can bet the event deck is going to be doing. But this is also where the lingering rules from the Return To card kick in. For the duration of the scenario, the following additional rule applies. The forced text on the agendas are active on the other side. That matters because the other side of these is going to say that if it's not in play, you put it into play. In the previous version of the game, you wouldn't have had to put a resource on Shadowspawn because that agenda wasn't active, but now you do. Next, we have Act 1A, Finding a Way Inside. Unfortunately, the entrance to the museum is kept locked at this late hour. A security guard is visible through the building's front window, oblivious to his surroundings. Perhaps you can find a way to get his attention and convince him to let you in. We need 2 clues to get through, and that's how many are at the first location. 3 trialed, 2 clues, you can't gain resources while you're here, and you can just leave. Books don't matter, but we're probably not going to be doing that. Let's add our draw buttons, shuffle our decks, and see what's going on. David Renfield calling in favors would be a lot better if I could gain resources at this location. I guess the first time you tap him, he only gives you 1 anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. I really want to hold David, but with a 5 doom threshold on the first agenda, I don't think it's worth doing. So instead I'm going to toss all this looking for economy. And I find it. In fact, I find the one I upgraded. Nice. Promise of Power is good, Azure Flame is worthless. Over here for Jacqueline. Oh. Okay. That's a... I'll toss the Fearless, I guess, but that's pretty much a perfect hand. Hey, it's an economy card that doesn't give you resources. Nice. It's a little bit wasteful to use a Rite of Seeking on 2 clues, but it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go first on Jacqueline. I'm going to play Uncage the Soul to play Rite of Seeking. Still cost me 2. It's ungodly expensive. Then I'm going to play Holy Rosary as my second action for 2. And last action, I'm going to investigate with Rite of Seeking at 6 + 2, so 8 to 3. Let's see how that goes. -2. I get both clues. Now, on Marie's turn, I'm going to immediately progress the act deck since we have those 2 clues. Let's make sure we don't forget to spend them. This is funny to me. I didn't even read the next location because I knew I could get the clues and I knew it was locked, but apparently there is an alternate way in. I can just test Fist 5 to break down the door. So it looks like I'll be taking the sane level-headed version of this resolution. The investigator spent clues to advance, so You find the nearest window to the guard and tap it loud enough to get his attention. He gives a startled jump, then shifts open the window. "What do you want?" he asks timidly. You explain the situation to him and tell him he is in grave danger. He warily opens the front door to the museum, shaking his head. "I wasn't even supposed to be here today." Choose an investigator to take control of the set-aside Adam Lynch asset, reveal the museum halls, advanced Act 2A, Night at the Museum. Adam Lynch gives me 1/1 soak, doesn't take up my ally slot, and if he ever dies, we're going to add a tablet to the bag. He also lets me use the security offices slightly faster. So I'm going to give this to Jacqueline, just because Marie should have more turns that she's using meaningfully, due to the fact that she's just taking straight book check after straight book check. So Jacqueline will be the one who's taking the security office action more likely than not. We also reveal the museum halls, which is a 2-shroud, 0-clue location. While we're here, we can spend 2 clues as a group to put the top card of the exhibit deck into play. Let's talk about the exhibit deck. It is mostly victory points. There is an objective in the bottom 3 cards, and the top 3 cards are just stuff we have to get through. Now, on to Night at the Museum, Act 2. While we're here, though, let's make sure we remove breaking and entering. Anyway, as I was saying, Act 2A and Night at the Museum. Necronomicon is being kept in a restricted hall somewhere in the museum. Adam barely knows his way around and gives a startled jump at every creak of the old building. "I just started here last week," he explains. "What sort of trouble did you say was going on?" You haven't the heart to give him the full story. Objective: if you enter the exhibit hall, restricted access hall, advance. For Marie's turn, I'm going to go down on her first action so that I can start gaining resources, and I'm going to play this emergency cash for 1 resource and the 3 cards. Or the other way around, rather. That would be a hilariously broken card. And next, to be self-sufficient, I'm going to play a Shriveling for 3. And that'll be the turn. No enemies are in play, so upkeep phase. Jacqueline gets a Clairvoyance, which she will hopefully not need. I think that was deny existence on Marie. I don't know if I've shuffled this deck. And we're going to draw our evil cards. I actually had to stop a second and make sure that Cursed Luck was supposed to be in the encounter set, because it just feels so out of place here. Anyway, Marie has -1 to her skill test, and once I pass by 1 or more, I get rid of Cursed Luck. Alright, I shuffled the deck before I drew that stuff, right? This deck is shuffled? Yeah? Okay, we both have Cursed Luck. Just a terrible night at the museum. Also, we should make sure that I didn't gain money here. Marie's going to go first. I'm going to have her move into the security office. 2 actions: look at the revealed side of an exhibit hall and play, or the top card of the exhibit deck. Limit once per turn. I actually don't think I'll be using that ever. I don't feel like that's relevant. Also, 3 Shroud, 4 clues. I'm going to play Key of Ys as my next action. I'm just going to investigate at 5 to 3. We're at no penalty for this because I have no squids in the bag, so there's no big danger. I just might fail. I will gain a clue, and that's the end of her turn. Next, Jacqueline's going to move down, play her emergency cash to draw a card and gain 3 resources. That is a good card to draw. And as much as I like Arbiter of Fates, I think it's obviously a higher priority to put Shriveling into play so that we can function independently of each other. That's it for our turns. Still no enemies. Oh, wait. Over here, because of Cursed Luck, that shouldn't have been 4 to 3, not 5 to 3, which means Cursed Luck is gone. It also means that skill test sucked a lot more than I realized it did, because we absolutely could have hit a tablet, which I guess would have done nothing. So it was still relatively fine. Anyway, no enemies, upkeep phase. Fearless is good to see. Delve too deep, as always, showing up at the start of the scenario. Will be fine, not a big deal. 2 of 5 Doom, and encounter cards. Dark Bidding. Alright, so this is a return to card. It attaches to Hunting Horror. It's already stuff that I don't like hearing. So what Dark Bidding does is it attaches to Hunting Horror no matter where it is, but it's currently still in the encounter deck, which is kind of janky. I'm just going to set it next to the encounter deck as a reminder. Anyway, what this does is whenever Hunting Horror attacks you, you take 1 additional damage in Horror, and then I heal 2 damage in the Hunting Horror and discard the Dark Bidding. It can only happen once per attack. Oh, so if it has multiple Dark Biddings, it can't happen multiple times in 1 hit. I understand. And for Jacqueline, we have Oppressive Mist. It attaches to her location. After you draw 1 or more cards, that investigator must test 3 head. If the investigator fails, he or she chooses and discards an equal number of cards. 2 actions to discard Oppressive Mist. That's obnoxious, but probably not the worst thing in the world. It also basically just means you don't want to start your turn here, or end your turn here rather, because then the upkeep phase would get you. But yeah, still pretty soft Mythos phases. I'm going to go first as Jacqueline, head to the other side. The administration office requires you to have fly. The administration office is a 2 Shroud, 4 clue location that cannot be investigated unless you have 5 or more cards. Since Jacqueline only has 3 cards in hand, I need to draw at least 1 card this turn to investigate next turn, which was my weakness, so I'll draw another one. It's the end of your turn, so I'm going to reveal 5 of these. Wait, no one's played curse tokens. Get that out of here. Why is that in the bag? Let's try that again. Anyways, no dice, Dark Future is in play. Arbiter Fates is a lot less good now than it was a second ago. I think I'm just going to investigate. Our hand's kind of dog. Going to investigate until I get at least 1 more clue. That gets me 1 more clue. And then I'm going to go back and use the action on the museum to play the top card of the event deck. But then I have to test 5 head for this. If I fail, though, I can just discard my Delve Too Deep. I don't need both of them on 1 character. So it's not the biggest deal. It does seem like the best thing to do, so I'm going to put in this exhibit hall, which connects only to the museum halls, as you'd expect. And that's it for our turn. So upkeep phase, there are still no enemies in play. Top of the round, 3 of 5 Doom, and encounter cards. Twist of Fate's going to reveal a random token from the Chaos bag, and we're just doing this straight. There's no reason I'd ward this, even if I could, which I can't. Wait. I don't know why I revealed 3. I was doing Jacqueline's ability. Anyway, the first one is all that matters. It's a skull. I take 2 horror. Infinite doorways attached to Jacqueline's location. And it has this really convoluted, obnoxious effect where whenever I move in or out of the location, which thankfully is only going to be happening 1 time for the rest of this campaign, and when it does, I'm going to draw a card. If it's a weakness, draw it. Otherwise, for each copy of the card in my hand or play area, I'm going to take 1 horror or discard that card. When I say draw a card, I meant to say discard the top card of your deck. I think I go first on Jacqueline. And I think I'm doing first action Rite of Seeking. Like a champion. Even though I can't use my ability. First action Rite of Seeking always feels genuinely terrible. But the turn I want to play is Rite of Seeking Leave, right? I don't actually know that. I might not be going to this museum, so let's go first as Marie and move down to this exhibit hall. It's one of the new ones, the Archives, 5 Shroud, and no clues. Double action, gain 2 clues from the token bank, then if hunting horrors in play, place 1 resource on Shadow Spawn, otherwise search it and spawn it. Alright, fuck that location. I'm going to move back. We're not doing that. And I'm going to play... Do I even need my emergency cash? I have 4 resources and nothing to spend it on right now. I think I draw a card rather than use emergency cash. Jeremiah Kirby, something to spend it on. Fantastic. So that really doesn't change what I'm doing with Jacqueline. I need clues from the administration office, and the rest of my turn would be move and spend them. I'm going to gain a resource first to slightly minimize how bad it is if I mess this up, because I'm basically out of resources after I play this Arbiter of Fates. And then I'm going to investigate at, what is it, like 8 to 2? Yeah. -1, I get 3 clues and there is no penalty. Next, I'm going to leave the location, triggering Infinite Doorway. There's none in play and there's none in my hand, so nothing bad happens. And my last action was to move out of there, right? Gain a resource, investigate, leave. Yep, that's the turn. No enemies. Oh, I definitely get rid of Cursed Luck on that, and it definitely didn't affect the skill roll. End of round. Let's see if we get our star sign and get rid of this thing. Nope, still not using Jacqueline's ability. Upkeep phase. Prescient is always good, but not what I'm looking for at the moment, and we're still okay on Marie's hand size. 4 of 5 Doom. Evil cards. Twist of Fate. Hopefully I don't take horror again. Can't do anything about it. I get a non-existence if I get hit for horror again. I take 1 damage. That's not a big deal. Get it out of here. Passage into the Veil. Test 3 head. It will not be getting any additional difficulty. If I fail, I can discard my top 5, take 1 direct damage, and deal 1 damage to each of your allies. Losing this has no penalty, so I test normally. Yeah, that's a pass. If I had failed, I would have taken 1 damage. It's not a big deal. Our turns. The Mythos deck has been very kind to us so far. Let's not lie to ourselves. We just figured Oppressive Mist on both of these characters. They both have to test 3 head. They fail, they have to discard a card. You pass. Cultist is -1. I pass there as well. Okay. So as I was saying, the encounter deck has been very soft so far. I'm going to go first on a Jacqueline. I'm going to spend 2 clues to reveal a new encounter or place a new exhibit. Next, I'm going to move to that location. This one has 4 clues on it, thank God. It's a 3-shroud location, and if I fail, I take 1 horror. I'm going to investigate with my, I think it only has 3 charges, right? So I forgot to spend one of them. Yeah, I forgot to spend one of them. So I'm going to investigate with my last Rite of Seeking charge. Star doesn't really do anything since I can't cancel it, but I will get 3 tokens, or 3 clues rather. As Marie, I'm going to follow, and I'm going to investigate normally. No, that's wrong. I'm going to play Jeremiah Kirby first. I'm pretty sure that Marie's deck is mostly even cards. Let me double check that. So looking at Marie's deck, it's actually one of the worst decks you can have for Jeremiah Kirby. It's almost perfectly split 13 to 13. It's actually 13 to 14 with the even cards being one ahead, but Jeremiah Kirby can't draw himself. So I'm really declaring based on what I want to see drawn. Water Protection's kind of the only odd cost card in my deck that I care about, so I'm going to declare even instead. What I do with Jeremiah Kirby is I draw 5 and put everything that was wrong back. So we get another Kirby and a Christopher Milan. I can just do this next turn, so I'll do it next turn with better odds. That's not true, because I just spent 4 of my resources playing Jeremiah Kirby and I don't have any money. I can still do it next turn, though. I can play Emergency Cash, then next turn I can play Jeremiah, or Milan rather, investigate. I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to play Emergency Cash right now. It's base level 1, so I only get 3 resources and end my turn. And that's it. No Hunter enemies, top of the round, Doom advances. From the shadows of the museum halls, a terrible creature slithers forth, long and serpentine and repelled by black leathery wings. It's not in play, so we search the encounter deck, discard pile, and the void for it. You're going to get it in 4 turns. Spawn it in the museum halls. It has dark bidding. And then we shuffle the encounter discard pile to the encounter deck, which is fine by me. None of those cards were that rough. Also, the text on the other side, whenever it enters play, attach Shadow Spawn to it or add a charge to it, triggers as well. So it has Shadow Spawn now as well. There are no resources on it yet, but it's going to start getting them very soon. Agenda 2, Shadows Deepen. The shadows in the museum grow and become darker. As the shadows lengthen and shift, they begin to suggest the sinewy body of an uncanny creature darting at the periphery of your awareness. Same text as the last one at 7 Doom Threshold. Oh, I may have progressed the agenda without actually doing my upkeep phases, so let's get that out of the way. Read the Signs is great. Promise of Power is great. I need to toss something. It'll be this Azure Flame. And that's it, except for evil cards. Passage into the Veil, I don't care at all. If I fail, I can just take 1 direct damage and deal 1 damage to Kirby. It's not a big deal. I'd rather not do that, obviously, but... Oh, wait, I'm with Jacqueline. Can Jacqueline throw me anything? I didn't do Jacqueline's ability at the end of her turn, I don't think. I honestly have no recollection. I'm pretty sure I didn't do it. And besides, if I miss... Oh, I was going to say if I miss anyway, it won't matter. Nothing changes, but I do hit it. So let's take this back. And let's put that in the correct discard pile. And that does affect like whether or not I want to do anything with this. Because I can commit Prescient now and try to get a spell back, but I don't have any spells in my discard pile, do I? Like, it's a moot point. So yeah, I'm going to be taking the skill test just as I had been. Cultist is -1, that's a pass. And over here for Jacqueline, another Infinite Doorway, so we're both going to have to lose a card and maybe take some ill effects when we leave this location. Hunting Horror only has 3 health right now. That's going to go up to a really obnoxious value when it comes back, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Right now, it's easy to kill. I'm going to go first on Jacqueline. I'm going to move her up to where the Hunting Horror is. I'm not going to try to move the pile of cards it has. I'm just going to attack it from here. I'm going to use a Shriveling, which means I'm swinging at 5, 6, 9 to 3. I probably should have played Arbiter Fates first and used it, but oh well. Auto fail. I'm going to use Shriveling again as my last action. +1, get him out of here. The Hunting Horror and all of his cards are going to be leaving immediately. On the reason, I'm going to play Christopher Milan for most of my money, and then investigate at 7 to 3 as my next action. That's a pass. I will take 1 resource from Chris, and the last clue on the location. Then I move back to the museum halls, and I forgot to trigger Infinite Doorway when I left the first time. So I have to discard the top card of my deck. It was Arcane Initiate, nothing bad happens. Over here, it's Deny Existence. I can take 1 horror or discard it. Yeah, gross. Can I take a damage instead? Yeah, I've got to either discard a card or take 1 horror. I'll put the horror on Milan. That's the easy choice. Losing Deny Existence when I'm already at 4 horror feels pretty damn bad. That's it for our turns, though. So, upkeep phase. Baron Samony is here to make everything infinitely scarier. Thankfully, I have the charismas for that. Over here for Jacqueline, Ward of Protection is great to see. Top of the round, 1 of 7 Doom. Evil cards. Reveal a number, try not to take 2 horror again. I could Ward of Protection this, but that just always feels bad that I'm Ward of Protectioning guaranteeing 1 damage, or 1 horror rather, in exchange for maybe preventing 2. I think if this bricks, I probably just kill Milan and Kirby and replay a new Kirby. Not happy about it. I mean, I could also just hit a good number, right? Yeah, see, that's -3. It's just 1 damage. Not a big deal. We'll put the damage on Kirby. For Jacqueline, we hit Inexplicable Cold, test 4 foot. For each one you fail by, choose and discard 1 card from your play area or from your hand, or take 1 damage. I think I cheat on this. 4 foot's a lot. I'd rather, like, lose 2 cards than all of them. Yeah, I'm going to use my ability on this to pull 3 tokens. I'll take the -1, so I have to do this 3 times. I'm not going to be discarding anything from my play area. Actually, this Rite of Seeking is out. That's helpful to me. I discard the Rite of Seeking for my first of 3. I don't think I'm going to be playing this Clairvoyance because I can prescient back the Rite of Seeking. And for the last one, I'm just going to take 1 damage on myself. Alright, so that was scary, but not the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I'm going to go first on Jacqueline, and the reason I'm doing it first on Jacqueline is because I want her to be at a location with clues so that she can use Enraptured on Marie's checks for more charges of tripling. I'm going to use the ability twice to spawn 2 of these locations. And now that I've done that, I'm going to use her last action to move into the most recent one, or the oldest one, rather. We found the Egyptian Wing. It is a 3-shroud, 4-clue location, victory 1, and if you fail a skill test while investigating, lose an action. Jacqueline's not the one investigating this. Marie's going to come down with her. That's her first action. And with Marie's second action, I'm going to investigate this location. I've got 7 to 3. I'm committing an Enraptured from Jacqueline for 8 to 3. That's a clue and a resource from Milan, and I'm going to do it again, exact same, but without the Milan. Cool. That's 2 clues and 2 charges on tripling. Now, since there's still no enemies alive on the map, upkeep phase, Arcane Initiate's neat, but oh, there's an agenda after this one. We are totally fine. I think I'm going to play this Arcane Initiate just with the expectation that they die. But that's a problem for later. For now, it's the top of the round, 2 of 7 Doom, and Evil cards. We're going to test this again. It's just not a big deal. We finally failed. I can either take 1 direct damage and deal 1 to each of your allies, or discard the top 5. The top 5 can get out of here. It's Ward of Protection, which sucked to see. Occult Lexicon, which was kind of unfortunate, and that's not the worst thing in the world. For Jacqueline, we got the Visions of Future Past, which is Test 5 Brain. For each one you fail by, discard the top card of your deck. I mean, I think I just take this at 6 to 5, right? And I might discard a few cards from my deck. It's just not a big deal. I discard the top card of my deck. Oh no. It was my weakness. Thanks, Dunwich. And that brings us back around to Investigator turns. I'm going to go first as Marie. I'm going to investigate twice for these last 2 clues. Hopefully I don't auto-fail, because that's really the only thing in the back that can stop me. Those are 2 passes, and I get a resource from Milan. My last action, she moves back to the main room. So you get to deal with this location's effect again. A reminder, it means that when I take the upkeep phase, I need to test Brain 3, and if I fail, I discard a card. The reason I went first with Marie is so that Jacqueline can move back as her first action and then spend Marie's clues as a Actually, the reason I went back first with Marie is so that I can spend her clues, but Jacqueline still has a location she's just able to go to. Still, though, I want to go to all the locations, so I'm going to spend 2 actions spending all but 1 of Marie's clues to place down at the last 2 exhibit halls. This is another turn where I failed to play Arbiter of Fate somehow. Let's try to avoid doing that next time. Upkeep phase. Ward of Protection is great to see. I still haven't found any Delves in Jacqueline, so I want to hold on to him over here. I think the easiest toss is Jeremiah Kirby. It's unlikely that I ever want to play him again. And for Jacqueline, we've got 3 Ward of Protections. We should be safe from the Mythos deck at this point. No enemy hunters to move. 3 of 7 Doom. Evil cards. Haunted Reflections can suck a lot. So I can know what this is doing before I ward it. I'm looking for Ward, Deny, St. Hubert's, and Arcane Initiate. I think I meant to mulligan these cards and I put them in my discard pile, didn't I? That's gross. I hate when I make that mistake. I know that's what happened. I know that's how they got here. So I'm going to put these in my deck and shuffle it, because that's what should happen. Anyway, back into the land of reality where we're dealing with the things that actually happened. There's a deny in here, and a ward in here, and an initiate. That's 3 horror. I can't handle that kind of damage. I'm going to ward this with Jacqueline, because Jacqueline has more horror and more money. Get it out of here. On Jacqueline's card, she gets a baleful welcome. Since there are no enemies, I obviously pick fight as one of the things I can't do, and evade as the other. Cool. That was a relatively soft mythos phase, even though I had to use a ward. So the problem with there being no enemies is I don't have anything to use Prescient on, because I only have Shrivelings. And that means that I really can't get my Rite of Seeking back on Jacqueline. I can still play a Read the Signs on her, though, so that's not bad. I'm going to go first on Jacqueline, move down to this location. That's stupid. I'm going to go first on Marie and move down to this location. It's a 3-shroud 4-clue location, victory 1, and it can't be investigated if the Hunting Horror is there. I feel like I'm getting softballed by the agenda deck pretty hard here. Like, the Hunting Horror just hasn't really shown up. We're, what is it, 9 turns in and we've seen him once? Anyway, I'm going to investigate twice with my next 2 actions, unless I need to play a card. I can play Arcane Initiate. I kind of like the Horror Soak, but that could be Ancient Evils. I'm going to play Arcane Initiate on the expectation that I can probably get it killed. Cost me 1 resource. I'm going to use its ability immediately to search the top 3. I'll take a Shriveling. And then I investigate with my last action, 7 to 3. -1, I'll take a clue and a resource off Milan. For Jacqueline, I'm going to come down with her, and the reason I want to be together is so I can throw Prescient at a brain test during the Mythos phase if she gets it, so I can use it and get Rite of Seeking back. As my next action, I'm going to play the Arbiter of Fates for 3 resources, and then I am going to play Read the Signs for 2 resources. This is an Investigate check, using Book plus Head, so I'm testing at 8 to 3, 9 to 3 actually, because of my Rosary. Star. Doesn't do anything. I probably should have cheated. I don't know why I didn't. But whatever, I didn't. Here we are. I get 2 clues. And that's it for our round. No enemies, upkeep phase. I think we're way past the point of ever needing a deep knowledge. Our hands are just filled with options. And Audra Flame is not ever going to happen, but I don't need to discard anything, so it's not a big deal. 4 of 7 Doom. Evil cards. Ephemeral Exhibits is a 3-book test. If you fail, lose 1 action for each point you failed by. Oh, can I get rid of Baron's Amity? Hell no. There's no ability whatsoever for me to get rid of Baron's Amity. The Doom is way too low for that. Oh, let's put the Shriveling back in my deck, because Arcane Initiate doesn't fit on my board. And I guess with the action that I failed to spend, I'll just investigate again at 7 to 3 and take the last clue. Yeah, I just forgot about Baron's Sanity because I think of him as a weakness and not as, you know, an ally slot, which he totally is. It's really obnoxious. And with the Doom as high as it is, there's no way for me to get rid of him during this agenda cycle. Anyway, we're testing 3-book. We don't want to fail because it basically could cost us our whole turn. I could either cheat for this or play Promise of Power. I've been agonizing over this 3-book test because, like, oh no, you can lose your whole turn. I forgot that this is the 7-book character and not Jacqueline. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Anyways, on Jacqueline's turn, we get a Baleful Welcome. No fighting, no evading. There's no one to do those things to, so it doesn't matter. We've got all the exhibits in play, so it doesn't really matter who goes first. This feels like a really weird version of the scenario. Like, there are a lot of cards in here, right, that summon the damn thing? Yeah, Slithering Behind You summons it. I guess there's really only 2 copies of Slithering Behind You. Huh. Okay. Well, I feel like I'm just going through the museum getting stuff. The game's not really trying very hard to stop me. So I'm going to keep doing that. I go first with Marie, move. We're now at this exhibit hall. Oh, I didn't actually think. Oh, this one was the restricted hall. Whoops. I forgot to check its name. So let's advance the act. Okay, I'm winding time back a little bit. Pretend this location's not flipped over. When you enter the exhibit hall restricted access, you're supposed to advance the act immediately. It turns out that was this one. I just forgot to read its subtitle. Second act advances. When you enter the restricted hall, you find the curator of the museum lying in a pool of blood, his intestines strewn about in a grotesque display. Somebody turns over and you resist the urge to vomit. Whatever did this, it's still nearby. And we put the Haunting Horror into play, advanced to Act 3A. So now it comes back. Does it tell me where? With us, of course. I'm not quite sure who I'm giving it yet to. I'm going to read the next act. Act 3A, Searching for the Tome. Someone in the area is Elias Wormius' translation of the Necronomicon. You must find it and escape while you can. If there are no clues, advance. Now, unfortunately, I've already done this. So what I'm going to do to make the game still function is I'm just going to give back one of these clues. Anyway, that helps the scenario feel a little bit less soft since it forces us hunting horror spawn on us, but it's still only a 3/4/3 enemy. So, yeah, let's just kill the shit out of it. I'll give it to Jacqueline because she's the better fighter. And I'm going to shrivel it twice. Actually, it's only got 3 fight. I could just cheat multiple times on a punch check for one of the damages. I'm going to do that because it's funny. I'm going to pull 3 tokens. I pick the 0, and then 3 more tokens. Ah, I didn't manage to hit +1 or star. Damn shame. Well, it was worth a shot to try to avoid having to use 2 charges of shriveling. Anyway, we shrivel it to absolute hell. Auto fail. Perfect. My greed has once again been my undoing. Anyway, it takes 3 damage from the second one. Marie Lambeau is also going to use shriveling to kill this thing. And I don't think I'm committing anything. I'm just letting her shrivel over me at her value of, what is it? Yeah, it's still 8. It's still 8-3. I'm just not worried about it. She's not going to kill me. Yeah, look at that. He's out of here. Get him out. Stop pretending he's a threatening enemy. And now, rather than ending the scenario, I move twice, because we're here for victory points. Let's not pretend. We have 2 Shroud, 2 Clues, Victory 1. If you fail a skill test while investigating, discard an asset you control. Shame I can't choose Baron's Amity. I would admittedly have shriveled Jacqueline for 4 fucking damage on an autofail. Probably should have spent the action to engage. That's a little bit much, kinda swingy. Jacqueline doesn't have Deny Existence in hands. Anyway, upkeep phase. Enemies are dead. Azure Flame can leave. I won't be needing it. 5 of 7 Doom. And evil cards. Secret Door is going to cost me an action to leave. And Dark Bidding goes on to Hunting Horror again. I'm sure he'll get a chance to attack someday. I'm going to go first with Marie. I'm just going to try to get rid of the door, followed by investigating twice. Getting rid of the door is only at 5-3. I think I'm going to use a Promise of Power to make sure the door happens. That seems reasonable to me. So first check, 9-3 on the door, get it out of here. Then we're investigating twice at 7-2. First one's a win. That was the wrong way to do that. Second one's also a win. Unfortunately, that star would have let me kill Baron's Amity if he had even 1 Doom on him, but he doesn't. So, oh well, I'll take the clues and be on my way. As always, Marie's star is doing nothing except for when it's being completely game-breaking. Oh, and I'll get him money from Milan, not that I need it. Jacqueline Fine, honestly, doesn't have much to do. I'm going to play a second copy of Shriveling for 3 resources. Because I've accepted at this point that I don't need to help Marie with the last clue. And I'm going to move twice to the last location, which might not even have victory points. It does. 3 Shroud, 2 Clues. After you fail a skill test while investigating here, take 1 damage. Victory 1. Alright, still no enemies in play. Upkeep phase. We have all 4 of our delves, not that we can actually play them. No one's over the hand limit. 6 of 7 Doom. No Doom on my boards. We're good. Slithering behind you. Man, that'd be a real shame if I didn't have Ward of Protection to say no. No, it's not slithering behind me. Nothing is behind me. Everything is fine. Twist of Fate and revealing a random token. I don't think it matters what this does to me. Even though I take 2 horror, that would suck, but it's not a big deal. What else am I cheating on? Why would I not use it now? I'll take a +1 damage as opposed to a 2 horror. And that's our turns. Marie moves to my location as her first actions. And then she investigates at 7-3. Skull gets a clue, does it not? Yes, it does. Jacqueline really doesn't have much to do here. I probably should have used her cheating to avoid autofail just now. Anyway, the 1 resource from Milan, not that it matters. And, Jacqueline really has nothing to do. I might just delve. I'll play 1 delve. That seems reasonable. Marie's evil card is Stalked in the Dark. This gains Surge. Inexplicable Cold, test for Foot, and she could discard some cards. That's fine, she'll live. She doesn't need all these cards. I'll still cheat with Jacqueline on it. to give her a better chance of not having an absolutely terrible result. She takes the -1. She loses 2 cards. Calling in Favors can go. St. Hubert's Key can go. For Jacqueline's evil card, we get Cursed Luck. Not a big deal. So I didn't have to use my ward. Since we still have a ward of protection left in case we hit Hunting Horror, I'm going to play the other Delve Too Deep, which should be going in the victory display. The evil card here is Test Brain 5. Discard the top of my deck. I don't really care about that at all. So I'll just take the test straight. -3, that's 3 cards off the top. Both copies of Fearless and David Renfield. And for Jacqueline, it's the other Cursed Luck. I don't know, my luck's feeling pretty good this scenario. This is amongst the hardest walkovers I've ever had. For my last action, I really don't feel like it matters very much. Gonna gain a resource because I have none, not that I need any. And that's my turn. And no enemies, so upkeep phase. Get a Guts. Get a Chronophobia. What does that even do? Take 1 Direct Horror. I'll probably win before I need to get rid of that. 7 Doom. Let's summon the Hunting Horror, alright? We summon the Hunting Horror. He spawns the Museum Halls. And then we shuffle the Encounter discard pile into the deck. There's a big old pile of nasty going on in the Museum Halls right now. And since he just spawned, he's going to get 1 more charge on this, bringing him up to a 4/5/4 monster. Jacqueline's going to go first. She's going to move and shrivel. The Hunting Horror engages with her. I'm going to commit Guts to the first one, and I'm going to cheat once on the first one. So, our first shriveling is going to be attacking at 6 + 3 is 9, and the Cursed Lucks get canceled out by the Guts. -1's a pass. And that is just a pass. I could take the Curse token like a champion, but I'm not going to. I'm taking the -1. So this thing takes 3 of 5 damage. In the last action, I will shrivel again. I'm cheating. I forgot to mention it. Not that it mattered. We'll cancel my token, draw a card, and kill the Hunting Horror again. What a threatening enemy. Anyway, Maria would like you to get this last clue. Testing 7 to something. 5 to something. Autofail the classics. Testing again. That's the last clue. We'll get a resource from Milan, not that we needed it, move back to the central location. No enemies, never are. Upkeep phase. Oh, these are gone, by the way. And I should have drawn a card off Guts, but it's already over, so I've just sort of stopped thinking about it. And I'll take 1 direct damage, or is it direct horror? Direct horror, not damage. That's fine, though. 1 of 7 doom, and not even close to hitting that. Well, I just take 3 horror and then deny its existence. That's the easiest solution to that. Oppressive Mist attached to our location, and speaking of, during the Mythos phase, or the upkeep phase rather, we should have tested 3 head to see if we have to discard a card. Which is pointless. We both passed, and if we did fail, it wouldn't matter. We're going to move back to the final location and investigate at 7 to 3 for the last clue. Cool, that is the last clue. I don't know exactly what that location is doing. And I believe we advance immediately. We do. So, this scenario has been a complete walkover. Just like, dear God, the Serpent didn't stand a chance. I have 7 charges of Shriveling left in play. I've got 6 Doom left on the clock. The ability to repeatedly cancel the effect that summons it. Yeah, I wanted to go double check. There's no text here that says cannot be canceled. Man. What a walkover. So we're going to get 5 victory from the location of the museum, 2 from Delve Too Deep. No victory from enemies, obviously. At last you find the locked case containing the Necronomicon. The tome, over 800 pages in length, is filled with all manner of macabre imagery, formula, spells, prophecies, and descriptions of creatures from beyond the threshold of space. Without a doubt, it's a dangerous book, but its secrets could be very useful. The investigators get the choice to either destroy the book or keep it. And the first time I played through this, we kept the book. And I remember it being relevant, but honestly, I'm destroying the book just to see if it has any meaningful consequence to change things up. The Necronomicon, if I did take it, would be a pretty solid thing to give to Marie. It's just another access to a book boost. She doesn't use her hand slots anyway, and the ability to spend an action to gain 2 resource isn't that bad of a thing. But I'm going to be burning the book. So we take Resolution 1. The only mechanical effects of Resolution 1 are that we record we destroyed the Necronomicon, and we gain Victory X, which, as I said earlier, is 7 for us. So that'll be it for Scenario 3, the Miskatonic Museum. It turns out that if you can just ward of protection every copy of Slithering in the Shadows, the hunting horror just doesn't fight you. Also, if you just get lucky, he doesn't fight you. This was a really weird scenario, even weirder than the first time I played it. I don't think it's fixed. The hunting horror is more threatening with the return to setup. And like most of the time, I recognize that the return to has changed these encounter sets, but it doesn't like meaningfully affect me. Without having recently played the scenario, I can't really tell you what changed. Well, I guess I can tell you one thing that changed. I know that that bottom right set is the one with Crypt Chill. And a lot of people are probably happy that it's not here anymore. But still, aside from Crypt Chill being absent, I couldn't tell you what the encounter chats meaningfully did. This scenario was just a walkover. It wasn't even close. And the fact that it was such a walkover is like what's making me not enjoy the scenario. Anyways, next time we'll be playing the Essex County Express. Hopefully we'll see more of a challenge when we get to this one. I've been Rather Incoherent. I hope you're enjoying the videos, and if you are, then please consider liking or leaving a comment or subscribing. All of that stuff really helps the channel grow. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.